Uh-oh. Okay, we'll start with this. Savannah Marshall wants a Claressa Shields rematch for undisputed heavyweight world championship. She's coming back, folks. She's coming back to boxing after a brief stint in the octagon. Savannah Marshall intends to return to boxing in 2025 and pursue a rematch with Claressa Shields all the way up to the heavyweight division. Marshall's only defeat in a professional boxing ring came against longtime rival Shields in a major 2022 contest. In 2023, the Briton became the undisputed super middleweight champion with her victory over Franchon Cruz, but didn't box at all last year as she transitioned to mixed martial arts and competed in the PFL. Because she didn't box at all last year, you would have expected that she would have made more than just one appearance in the octagon. Now, she is planning her return to boxing this year. She wants to chase a rematch with Shields, and she is especially eager to fight the American superstar for a heavyweight world title. Shields is fighting Danielle Perkins for the WBC, WBO, and IBF heavyweight titles on February 2nd. I think I'll follow suit with Claressa and go up, Marshall told Sky Sports. Hopefully that sets up that fight again. It's the fight Marshall wants more than any other, and potentially making it for an undisputed heavyweight championship would be all the more appealing. I went over to mixed martial arts, hoping to catch her there. That hasn't materialized, Marshall said. Get a fight in March, and then hopefully her in the summer. It didn't happen, so I'm going to assume that now that Savannah is coming back, she's going to be coming back under the Boxer banner. Boxer who paid for the first fight with Claressa. They're the ones who footed the bill, not Dimitri Salita, not Claressa's career-long promoter. Why do you think it was in the UK? Size-wise, I'm probably the biggest out there anyway, height and frame-wise. The pool's so shallow with competition, I could carry like heavyweight, it's not really an issue. She believes boxing Shields at heavyweight could give her advantages. Marshall said, I am bigger than her, and hopefully it will slow her down a bit, so that's a plus. It's the biggest fight out there for us both. A more honest admission than what you get from Claressa Shields. Let Claressa Shields tell the story, and she doesn't need nobody. But the fact of the matter is, since boxing Savannah Marshall, she hasn't had another big fight. The fight with Marisela Cornejo, the fight with Vanessa Joanniz, those were much smaller engagements than the Savannah Marshall fight. I was in a time in my career where I needed a bit of a change. I've boxed for a long time. I've boxed for about 23 years, she said. I think wrestling and grappling is the best form of strength and conditioning you can get. I've never been so strong. I've never felt so fit. But she added, I know where I went wrong in the first Shields fight. I know the mistakes I made, and look, I think it was an exciting fight, the first one, so let's make the second one even more entertaining. Shields' promoter, Dimitri Salita, has invited Marshall to be ringside for Shields' next fight. Maybe she'll go, maybe she doesn't. Claressa Shields is not exactly a ray of sunshine and not someone you want to be around for an extended period. I've missed Savannah because Savannah's a pleasure to watch in action all her own, irrespective of the Claressa Shields stuff. And I think that is Claressa's biggest testament to her skills. to her ability that she was able to beat Savannah on UK soil, though I've never said Claressa wasn't skilled.
Just that she's not the greatest of all times.
That her ego is out of control, that she is essentially in her own way. She's her own worst enemy. Most of the bad things people say about her is because of what she does and how she behaves.
All while a small group of individuals tries to force-feed me and you this idea that she's the greatest woman of all times.
I'd rather watch Savannah box any old day of the week before Claressa, even though Claressa beat Savannah.
That's fine.
Savannah is still more entertaining to watch than Claressa Shields, skilled in her own right, and I'm glad that she's back. I feel like women's boxing would have been better off if Savannah had won that fight instead of Claressa, because no matter how skilled you think Claressa is, and no matter what the outcome of their fight was, she's a poor ambassador for the sport.
She's not a likable person.
And I always get one or two odd guys trying to convince me to be nicer to her, while the vast majority of people in the comments feel how I feel.
She's obnoxious, she's annoying, and that's just the way it is.
So when both Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields reached some kind of an agreement with the PFL, the Professional Fighters League, you would have thought that that resulted in a second fight, a rematch between them, albeit in a different setting. But we haven't seen Claressa in the octagon.
She's had a couple of scares there, suffered a loss. It's very obvious that that's not her bag as much as boxing is.
And it's not Savannah's bag as much as boxing is either, but Savannah was hoping to get her in the octagon. She couldn't do that, now she's back to boxing.
Welcome news.
Claressa is en route to the Danielle Perkins fight, which is flying largely under the radar. A rematch with Savannah would do a lot more to move the needle, since Claressa really hasn't moved it. She's only fought 2 times since then. The Maricela Cornejo fight, the Vanessa Joanese fight, and like I said, those were much smaller engagements than the Savannah Marshall fight, likely for much smaller money.
Dimitri Salita by himself ain't got but so much, whereas Boxer, with Sky Sports behind them, they paid big money to do that first fight. I think they'll pay big money to do a rematch.
Whether Claressa wants to admit it or not, that's her best bet to get it a big bag. Fighting Savannah again, because without her...
Just gonna keep fighting these girls nobody knows in front of a limited audience.
In men's lightweight news, I'm sure most of you have heard by now that yesterday Gervonta let go of a series of seething tweets aimed towards Turki Alalshikh and all those who were in attendance for this past weekend soiree in London, angry that he was not invited. He said, why didn't they invite everybody, but they invited people that they deal with?
Why, if they invited you, would you have gone?
F out of here. Stop dick eating. Look at the little rat thinking he came up on something. Eddie Hearn. Now tell them all to fight each other, since they have a heavy roster.
Well, that's what all those guys are doing. They're fighting each other.
And that's likely why you're not there and why you weren't invited, because everybody knows you're not about that life.
A Twitter user that goes by the name Brandon Ray said, they definitely disrespecting you. You should have been nominated for Prospect of the Year.
Gervonta responded by saying they want to act like this guy is good for boxing when he's not good at shit. If he's so good, why is he not building the people where he's from?
You're telling me staging fights like Fury versus Usyk and Beterbiev versus Bivol, that's bad for boxing?
But you versus Lamont Roach, that's supposed to be good? Gervonta continued, this guy knows shit about boxing at all, and this is who they're turning to. All dick eaters.
Oh, you would be the expert on eating dick. The way you tied your hair in a ponytail like so many snow bunnies at the first sign of chocolate.
He would be the expert on eating dick, the way he was hugged up on Adrian Broner as Adrian blew kisses at him.
He knows about eating some dick.
All shithousery aside, why is Gervonta Davis so angry? Why is he so upset? He's upset that he wasn't invited.
The guy who goes by the name Boss Vaughn said he's mad guys are moving on with the sport and their careers instead of waiting on him, to which Gervonta responded, LOL, they have to go over there to make money, and still do. I sell where I'm from, bitch. America.
You don't sell more in America than Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua in the UK. No, you don't. You don't sell more here than they do there, and they were over there. And you certainly don't sell more here than Canelo.
You don't sell more than Canelo. Who are you trying to kid?
Without a Ryan Garcia to help you, all you're really good for is at or around 200,000 buys, which is minuscule. And what some people like to say is that in this climate, 200,000 pay-per-view buys sold ain't that bad.
Yes, it is. Because if it weren't, Showtime would still be in boxing. The vast majority of Gervonta Davis's fights happened on Showtime. And if those numbers were really good and in keeping with any kind of a standard, a threshold, they'd still be in boxing.
But they're not.
Gee, I wonder why.
Gervonta continued, most people are built on a dollar sign. No loyalty at all. Anything popping, y'all dick eat. Well, Gervonta, if it were really about loyalty, you would have stuck with Floyd Mayweather. He's the real reason so many people came to know you so fast.
He qualified you. His vote of confidence is why your career took off as quickly as it did.
And without him and his protection, you probably would have lost already. He's the one who kept you out of that Lomachenko fight for years.
He's the one who protected you, and you didn't stay loyal to him. So what the hell do you know about loyalty?
Gervonta continued, they'd be going over there, getting their asses kicked, fighting in front of a total of 19 people, but because they're rich, it's cool.
He's giving it away right then and there what he's afraid of. He's giving it away that he's afraid of going to Saudi and losing, because in case you forgot, Turkey already extended an olive branch to Gervonta Davis months ago.
And Gervonta responded by demanding 2 Ferraris just to have a conversation. If this butterball were anywhere near the business guy that he pretends to be, he'd know that's not how you start a professional relationship, a business relationship.
Now, as you can imagine, Gervonta Davis has already deleted several of these tweets. And bear in mind, this guy is 30 years old. What he's basically doing is throwing a stone, then hiding his hand.
Why say all this stuff then? Why put it out there just to delete it?
He's a little kid.
He acts like a little kid, like a child, and as it pertains to the business of boxing, the business aspect of it, all he is another kid with a play phone.
Pretending he's talking about something or talking to somebody.
So here's what's really going on, and here's what's really happening. Turkey's influence is being felt in all corners of the boxing world, to the point where a fighter like Gervonta Davis is backed into a corner. He's backed into a wall.
He feels alienated within his own sport because you're seeing legends like Evander Holyfield and Roberto Duran.
The somebodies like Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, even Inoue.
He's a Riyadh season ambassador. Canelo Alvarez was over there this weekend. Rumor has it he's inked a deal to fight Terrence Crawford. That you're seeing the boxing world converge.
Come together because Turkey is bringing them together. That's his contribution to the boxing world. The world that you're not a part of and never have been, though you've existed parallel to it. I've often said that Gervonta Davis's career is to boxing what the Harlem Globetrotters are to the NBA.
The NBA is a sport. Harlem Globetrotters is a show.
A gimmick, and that's what Gervonta Davis is. A gimmick. His career may as well be scripted. He talks down the fighters like Shakur Stevenson, and his supporters join him in those criticisms, but you're fighting a guy that Jamel Herring beat. A guy that Jamel Herring took to school years ago. And who took Jamel to school? Shakur took Jamel to school.
So what the hell are you talking about?
You're about to fight a guy whose last fight was on YouTube, and you're trying to charge people $80 to see it.
Are you stupid?
Not stupid so much as running out of options. He's running out of safe options. And as he watches Turkey's influence engulf the sport of boxing, he gets upset because he knows he doesn't fit in.
He can't be a part of Turkey's vision and maintain this illusion.
Maintain that unbeaten record. You know what kind of fights Turkey's trying to make. You said it yourself. There's guys going over there and they're making money, but they're losing.
Is that what you're afraid of?
If it is, you should be happy you weren't invited, because then what that means is you understand each other. Turkey understands. You're not about that life, and you're not about to take any risks.
You should understand that, because look at your career. Look at who you're fighting.
Now, what Gervonta Davis's fans like to say is that Gervonta doesn't fight for belts, and he doesn't fight for legacy. He's really only in it for the money, but if it were about the money, you'd be boxing in Saudi.
If it were about the money, why do you think Canelo was over there this past weekend? Why do you think all those fighters and all those promoters and all 4 sanctioning bodies?
Why do you think they're all over there? The money.
If it were about the money, you'd be over there too.
He's not. Because it's not about the money. It's about the safety. It's about the risks versus rewards ratio. He doesn't want to take any risks. And now he's trying to shame all the guys that do.
So that you can stay in America and sell 200,000 to just under 200,000 pay-per-view buys with a super featherweight.
What do you really think is going to buy that fight? What were the numbers for the Frank Martin fight, since that's the only fight you had last year? And what are the numbers for this fight going to look like?
If he's mad about something,
It's because he can see what the sport is turning into, and underneath it all, he knows he doesn't belong.
you're not a real fighter. You're a parody of one.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
Who's Dick Turpin?
He was an outlaw, what they used to call a highwayman, a robber, who was celebrated over time in legend and fiction.
So Tyson Fury's calling himself a robber?
So maybe Tyson Fury's likening himself to Dick Turpin, a bandit, a robber, in the sense that, in his own mind, he's robbed the bank, and now he's out. Now he's done. I don't think most people were expecting Tyson Fury to retire on the eve of what could have been an Anthony Joshua showdown, that he might stick around a while longer to at least have that fight for a lot of money. That if nothing else, the money is an incentive. Apparently not. He's called it a career, and he's done at 36 years old off 2 consecutive defeats to Alexander Usyk. A part of me always suspected that Fury might retire after Usyk is done with him, though at the same time, this is Tyson Fury we're talking about. He's retired, quote-unquote retired, 2 times already. As spastic and erratic as this guy is, he might say he's retired today, then come back tomorrow.
Or maybe the 3rd time's the charm. This will have been the 3rd time that Tyson Fury announced his retirement. Maybe he means it this time, that he's coming off of 2 losses and he's made lots of money, plenty of it.
Or maybe it's a bargaining tactic, that in order to lure him out of retirement for any fight that Turkey wants him to have, a Joshua fight.
It's gonna cost you.
And you say that, well, Turkey's likely already paid this man a fortune for the Francis Ngannou fight, the 2 Alexander Usyk fights, and that's not counting whatever else Tyson Fury made throughout his career without Turki Alalshikh with him. He's already paid you a lot. What, you want more?
He's a gypsy.
Gypsy's a tricksy. Just saying. Now, if he's serious, and he means business, and he's really done, and he's not coming back, well, all that tells us is that you're running from the Joshua fight. That Anthony Joshua, in the twilight of his career, was still willing to fight you, but you were not willing to fight him. You had nothing left.
The money is there, and the interest is still there. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows this is still one of the biggest fights you can hope to make in all of British boxing and all of boxing overall. So if you don't want to stick around...
Retiring is just a fanciful way of saying you don't want it. So who does Anthony Joshua fight now? Well, his old buddy Deontay Wilder is on the bounce, he's on the rebound, and so is Anthony. I suppose you could make the fight between them, or he could target the winner of Daniel Dubois versus Joseph Parker for the IBF title. He still has aspirations of becoming a 3-time heavyweight champion. He could always do that.
Though it may be ill-advised, Anthony hasn't retired yet. He's still here.
He's got options. I don't know that I'm fully convinced Tyson Fury is all the way gone.
We'll see.